I've watched a ton of YouTube videos out there that are related to this topic that speak about how to use hashtags and what are the best hashtags to use on your post on Instagram. And I've come across a bunch of YouTubers that speak about things that they really don't have experience in. And the reason why I believe this to be so is because a lot of these YouTubers probably don't have the time to actually sit there and grow their Instagram from scratch. They probably use automation tools or have agencies that are managing their page in order to grow their page, and they don't have no need to actually do the hashtag research that it takes in order for you to grow your page if you're a smaller page. So if your Instagram page only has about 0 to 2,000 followers and about 0 to 150 likes per post, then I would say that the strategies that are out there are probably working for you, but they're not working to its fullest potential. It might actually take a lot more work, time, and strategizing in order for you to gain the engagement that you're looking for in your page than what most of these YouTubers are painting for you in their videos. What I'll be showing you in this video is purely based on my experience, what I have tested for hours in the past, and what I have seen that works for me and for others who I've taught. So stick around and I'll show you 5 mistakes that people make when using hashtags on their post and what to do instead, which will help you find the right hashtags for you. Mistake number 1, not doing the proper research on the hashtags you use. I see there's a lot of people that know that they should use hashtags on their posts, and even worse, there's people that don't think that you should use hashtags on your posts. But for those who know that you should use hashtags on your posts, they don't have an understanding of how much you need to research in order for you to find the right hashtags. Because it's not just about gathering a few hashtags, putting them together onto your post and expecting for some engagement to come to your content. No, it's actually a lot deeper than that. You need to find hashtags that are actually relevant to your content and hashtags that will bring you some reach and impressions to your post. So it actually takes a lot more research and a lot more thought into finding the right hashtags that will work for your posts. So what you actually want to do first is you want to consider the type of posts you need hashtags for. So for example, if you're posting something like motivational quotes or inspirational quotes, then you want to find in your Instagram hashtags that are related to those type of posts. So let's go into my Instagram, for example, and let's search for motivational quotes. Okay. Motivational quotes. First one up here. All right, and what we want to look at is the top section. So this right here is the top section, and we want to see if we find posts that are related to our posts, to the posts that we will be putting up. So I can see here that this is a nice quote. God's plan is bigger than you think. Here's another one. So most of these are definitely related to the posts that we will be putting up, as they are all quotes and they all seem to be about motivation and inspiration. So that's the first thing we want to consider. The second thing is we want to see if these posts have the same amount of likes that we get on our posts on a regular basis. So as we can see, we went through a few of them there, and some of them had 500. This one has 1,377. This one has 1,800. This one has 505. So although this hashtag has posts that are related to our posts that we will be putting up, it has a lot of competition, and this hashtag could not be a good hashtag for us. So we do want to, if we're like within the 50 to 150 like range, then we want to find a hashtag that has posts on the top section with the same amount of likes that we get. So keep in mind that the section that we were just looking at is actually the top section, which is where we want our post to show up in. So if you have a hashtag with posts that has over 1,000 likes, and in your page you only get about 50 to 150 likes per post, then chances are you're not even going to show up in this top section, because this hashtag is very competitive. Now, there is a recent section where you may show up in, but you may show up there for a time and people may engage a little bit with your page. The thing about it is that, if it's a competitive hashtag, by the time you post something and then you go to the recent section to see where your post is, most likely your post is going to be buried with all the other posts that come right after the one that you put up. So it's probably best to do your research and look for the best hashtag and the least competitive hashtag that will be better for your post. So it's probably best that you don't even use this hashtag, because you're probably going to end up competing with other top pages that have likes of over 1,000 or 2,000 and up. So I recommend that you keep looking for other hashtags. Now, there is another section when you're searching for hashtags that is very important to look at, and that is a related section. So let's actually go back to my phone and look at this section. So we're here under motivational quotes again, and we're looking at the related section right below the follow button. So we have here motivational quotes, success tip, determination quotes, motivation quote, and they all seem related to motivational quotes, which was our main hashtag that we searched for. So we're going to look at success tip. And the first thing we notice with success tip is that it has a lot less posts under this hashtag. It actually has 229,000 posts, which is great. So let's just look at some of these posts here. So this looks like a quote, and it's a good quote. These have actually very high likes. They all have like thousands. Let's see if we can find one that catches that. Now, this is a very competitive one as well. We may still want to use it because, like I said, it has a lot less posts associated to this hashtag, and most likely it'll be a lot easier to find our posts under the recent section, which is where we want to show up as well. And we might show up a lot more longer than if we would post. We would use a hashtag under one of our posts that has millions of posts. So I would suggest you use this, just not too many ones that are like this, because clearly we're not going to be able to show up on the top section for this hashtag. So let's just go back. So if you're within the follower and like range that I had mentioned before in this video, then I would suggest that you use about 27 to 30 hashtags per post, and that you use hashtags that have posts of about 10,000 to 500,000 posts, which actually leads me to my next mistake. Mistake number 2, using broad hashtags that are very popular in use. So there was actually a time that I used hashtags that have millions of posts, and I actually do see a lot of people doing this. And I was doing this until I realized that I wasn't getting anywhere with these hashtags that I was using. I actually went into my analytics and studied like how well my hashtags did, or how well I did as far as the posts that I put up on Instagram. And I started noticing that I wasn't really getting much impressions or reach from my hashtags. So then I started looking into it and studying why I wasn't getting that much impressions or reach from all my hashtags. And I came to realize that what I was using were the wrong hashtags, because I was using the most popular ones when in fact I had to use the less popular ones. So when I ended up realizing this, I started using those hashtags that were less popular and that I thought, in my opinion, were going to get me the least impressions. and reach. And little did I know, those were the ones that actually helped me the most. I actually learned that there's two different types of hashtags that you can use. There are the short tail hashtags and there are the long tail hashtags. And it's very important that you understand what is the difference between both. So let's actually start by going over what are the short tail hashtags. So these hashtags are generally the more popular, more broad hashtags that are frequently used on Instagram. Instagram even bans a lot of these hashtags due to its excessive use by bots and spammers. So you probably want to steer away from using these type of hashtags. There are actually several ways to identify which are the banned hashtags on Instagram, but that's not what we will be discussing in this video. So if you actually do want me to create a video that goes more in depth about this topic, then please let me know in the comment section, and I'll definitely create a short clip or a short video that will go more in depth on this. But the short tail hashtags are hashtags that are more like motivation, success, or inspiration, which are hashtags that may be very related to your post, but are those that are used very frequently on Instagram. Now, the long tail hashtags are actually the more detailed and specific hashtags that are more directly related to your post. So hashtags that are long tail hashtags are like motivational quote of the day, motivational mindset, success lifestyle, hashtags like that, that have multiple words within one hashtag. These are the hashtags that you want to start using and that will actually bring you more engagement to your page. You may think to yourself that it doesn't because they're the least popular ones, but I'm here to tell you that they actually are the best hashtags to use, and I would actually start testing them so that you can see for yourself that the more detailed, the more broad, the ones that have the least followers and the least competitive ones are the ones that will help you the most. Now, you may still want to factor in that some of these long tail hashtags have a ton of posts in them. So you may want to choose your hashtags wisely when it comes to the amount of posts that each of these hashtags have. So the rule of thumb that I normally go by is to use hashtags that have about 10,000 to 500,000 posts in them. So I would actually go by this rule. Use 5 hashtags that have about 10,000 posts or more. Use 10 hashtags that have 50,000 posts or more. 5 hashtags that have 100,000 posts or more. 5 more hashtags that have 200,000 posts or more. And use 5 hashtags that have 400,000 posts or more, but not more than 500,000 posts. Now that we've covered this mistake, let's move on to the next mistake, which is mistake number 3, using few or too many hashtags on a post. So you will still find a ton of pages out there that use little to no hashtags on their posts. And this is fine for large pages that have a large fan base and a large community that follow them, because it's so easy for them to gain engagement on their posts. They even have people that are outside of Instagram that follow them and that follow their other social media pages. But as far as an average Joe page like mine, or like the majority of people that are on Instagram, it's not that easy to gain engagement. So it's very important that you do use hashtags on all your posts in order to gain engagement outside of the followers that you have within your small community. So pick your hashtags wisely, because Instagram only allows you to use 30 hashtags per post. But I would say never use exactly 30 hashtags on every single post, because Instagram may find this as spam and they may suspect suspicious activity on their account and close it due to this reason. So my suggestion is use up to 30 hashtags and never less than 27. If you stick to this rule, you should be fine and Instagram will never bother with you. The next mistake on my list is mistake number 4, using hashtags that are not related to your niche. So this is actually a mistake that I was making in the beginning when I first started growing my page, and I'm pretty sure there's a ton of people out there that still make this mistake and have been on Instagram for years trying to grow their page. But I was actually not using the right hashtags that were related to my post. And it wasn't that I was using hashtags that were like hashtag dog food on inspirational quotes. I was just using hashtags that wasn't really bringing that much engagement to my post and wasn't niched down. This is an example of what I'm talking about. So I would post a photo of my products and I would put a hashtag that said hashtag go hard or go home. And although this is a good hashtag, it's still not niched down and it's still not totally related to my post, which is what we want to look for our posts on Instagram. Now, if you want more attention to your posts and you want people to actually press like on your posts and comment on it, then I would suggest to really use hashtags that will drive people to want to engage with your posts. And that are more related to the post that you're putting up. So going back to the example that I was just going over, let's say I put up a post about my products, but my product is actually a military backpack that I'm doing a photo shoot on. So some good hashtags that we can use for this type of posts are hashtag product photo shoot, or hashtag military gear, or hashtag photo shoot on my product. These are actually good hashtags that are more detailed and more related to this type of post that I'm putting up. So these are the type of hashtags that you want to use. Now keep in mind that you do want to use hashtags that are very related to your post, but not the ones that have too many posts in them or very little posts in them. So make sure that the hashtags that you use have a decent amount of posts. And it's actually very important to keep in mind that your hashtags are related to your post, because there are people that can actually go into these hashtags and see what is being posted. And if someone goes in there and they start noticing that you're putting up posts for a hashtag that is not related to what you're posting, then they can go ahead and report you, and Instagram can temporarily block your post or even remove it completely and remove all your hashtags from your post. So be very careful with you using hashtags that are not related at all. This actually happens to a lot of Instagram users that utilize automated systems that post all their content and use the same hashtags on every post. Now that we're actually speaking on this topic, it's a good time to move on to our next mistake, which is mistake number 5, using the same hashtag on every post. There are actually some Instagram growth instructors that suggest to use the same hashtags on every post. And there are a lot of them that actually suggest to use a rotation of 3 different groups of hashtags on all their posts, so that they don't have to go through the struggle of finding new hashtags and using those hashtags for every single post. But what I suggest is to actually use different hashtags on every post. And the reason why is because on every single post, you're not posting the same content. You're posting something slightly different. Although you're in a niche that is very detailed and you're specific to one thing, you still have to post something different every time. So I totally suggest to do your research and on every post, use different hashtags. Now, I'm not saying that you have to use a totally brand new batch of hashtags on every single post, but you can at least recycle about 20 of your hashtags on all your posts, and 7 to 10 of them, make sure that they're completely related to the post that you're putting up on Instagram. That way, you're not using the same hashtags on every post, and you're actually targeting those who are searching for your type of content. So those are the 5 mistakes that people make when using hashtags. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment on my post. If you have any feedback for anything that I've said throughout this video, please leave it in the comment section, and I'll totally appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my page and let me know if there's any posts that you want me to put up in the future. and I'll definitely put that up for you guys. So thank you for watching this video, and hope to see you soon.